What's up, people? My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite top 10 Flaming Lips songs. I started this channel to only discuss things Frank Zappa. I've expanded that after discussing almost all things Frank Zappa. His concept of the big note to pretty much include anybody that he musically or lyrically refers to. I made a connection to the Flaming Lips through the rock band Con. I explained that in depth on the first video I did of the Flaming Lips, the album video. But today, when I was kind of preparing my thoughts for the third or the fourth video, which is about all their miscellaneous EPs and live albums and cover albums and all the crazy stuff they've done, I remembered this little EP, which is actually the length of a full album that came out after Transmissions, before Cloud Stays Metallic. It was kind of one of those like, we're kind of huge now. We got to put out material. We can't wait a whole 2 years. And this is like a miscellaneous stuff. Bad Days, which would appear on the following album, is on here. Some other unreleased stuff, some old stuff in live versions or stuff from Transmission in live versions, and some cover songs. And there's a little live performance from like an art school. I think it's like an art school or something like that, or somewhere. No, it's a record store. It's a record store. And in introducing track 6, the chosen one, the Smog song by Smog by Bill Callahan, Wayne introduces the song by saying, this is in 94, so Frank had passed away in December of 93. Wayne says, I wasn't the hugest Zappa fan, but the world needs more people like Frank Zappa, so I guess we're just going to dedicate this song to Frank Zappa. So he specifically mentions Frank Zappa's name, thus the Flaming Lips and every band they've ever collaborated with, which means even on this album alone, we now get to include Smog in there. And a lot of other people, there is that connection, can now fall under the big note. But anyways, these are my top 10 songs. This was hard because there's a lot of songs that are left on this list that deserve to be on a top 10 list. But this is not their best songs or their objectively greatest songs, but my personal favorites. I'm just going to read through the list, discuss each one briefly, and then at the very end, I will put the list on the screen if you want to see it in writing and know what they all are at once. But anyways, I think that's all. I got to say. So let's get started. Oh, no. I also have to give a shout out. So all the songs in this video come from the official studio albums. I've been limiting my songs list to official studio albums. My favorite song is not on an official studio album. My favorite Flaming Lips song is on a soundtrack album. It is the second song on this particular soundtrack. And once I tell you the name of the song, you will clearly know what soundtrack it is. But the name of the song is SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy. It is a fun song. It is great to sing. Sonically, it is amazing. It has these little bubble sounds that kind of go through the whole thing, which, of course, are a reference to where SpongeBob lives, which is under the sea, in a pineapple, by the way. But I always thought it reminded me of paraphernalia of a certain sort, and little bubbles blowing and sort of the after effects of what would happen after you blew bubbles and then inhaled into this paraphernalia. And so it has that very chill, relaxed, but kind of peppy and kind of upbeat with just this amazing, just again, the rhythm section of the Flaming Lips is so incredibly spectacular. The lyrics are just about SpongeBob and being a good sponge boss and working for Krusty Krab. And it's about Patrick, and it's about their boss and, in love with his computer wife. And it is a phenomenal little song. It is such a feel-good song. It is all over streaming. I know there's a video of it on YouTube. I don't like the video because it distracts from the awesomeness of just the song. But if you've not heard the song, check it out. It is just a good song, and it's so much fun to sing along to. But that is my favorite song. SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy off the SpongeBob soundtrack. I think the first movie. But anyways, here we go. Now let's get on to my top 10 Flaming Lip songs. Number 10, off their album Hit to Death in the Future Head, Halloween on the Barbary Coast. This is just, it starts off with this absolutely amazing good psych guitar riff, this da na 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 na, and it just kind of goes on a couple times, and then the drums kind of come in, but the drums are almost like shooing the riff away. Like you've established the tone, you've established this slightly sinister vibe, and the drums come in almost like pushing it away, and then the drums are just kind of established sort of the vibe for the verses, with some nice acoustic guitar in it, and the riff eventually repeats, and it's just, yeah, it's just this really intense, very psyche, psych rock song with this devastating riff that opens it. The chorus is like, and it's Halloween, and we get some backup singers at one point that are like, it's Halloween on the Barbary Coast again. And Coyne's voice, like, I think this is the greatest era of his voice, the sort of like Transmissions, Clouds, Hit to Death, those run. I think his voice is at its peak sort of fragility, like that soprano voice of his is, it's tender. He's not the best singer, but he evokes so much character in his singing. And this is another one where just the vocal performance is incredible. Number 10. Number 9, off Transmissions from the Satellite Heart, Chewing the Apple of Your Eye. This is a little acoustic number. The lyrics are just kind of like Wayne commenting on life and people and just standing next to a man. And my absolutely favorite part of this is like, it's like at the circus when you get lost in the crowd. You're tired, but you're happy, but nervous. A definite sign that you've lost it. You've lost it. Just great. And it's like a tender little song. And again, like the Flaming Lips can be like way too much noise. The guitars are way too distorted. The drums and bass are all the way in the red. There's layers of just cacophony and chaos. But this is one of those just gentler, tenderer, just the guitar playing is so just perfectly perfect. And it's just such a nice, sweet little song on what might be a perfect album. But yeah, that is number 9, Chewing the Apple of Your Eye. Number 8, off their debut album, Jesus Shooting Heroin. This is like a slow burner psych song, very like has an intensity about it. But then there's this sort of devastating riff in the middle that's, again, just this guitar heavy psych riff. This is just, I'm going to say the Halloween on the Barbary Coast riff because I just sang it. But it's just like, dun, see, I'm singing Halloween on the Barbary Coast. I can't. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, just this ridiculous heaviness in the middle of what is otherwise a sort of very restrained, like, but intense, slow burning psych song. And the lyrics, I think the first line is about, I've never understood religion. It seems like a good reason to kill. So it's very much, and then we get to the last line of each verse, and it's like Jesus shooting heroin. And yeah, it's about Jesus shooting heroin. So it's a very Flaming Lips song, like to be on their first album and to have sort of this kind of clear of a picture of who you are as a band, not afraid to like have Jesus shooting heroin, not afraid to question religion, not afraid to like, it's got that low high thing that was so popular in like the 90s with like, you know, the Radiohead quiet into loud thing, but they do it so well on this song. Number 8, Jesus Shooting Heroin. Number 7, Moth in the Incubator. This is also off Transmissions from the Satellite Heart. This is kind of a 3-part little mini suite. The first part's a little slower. The second part, the drums and bass kick in. And again, you get into that weird Flaming Lips funk that they do so well. And the last part is just this sort of uplifting, kind of just jammy thing where it's just like kind of builds up higher and higher, but not, doesn't get really more intense as much as it just gets more accelerated. And the drums just are this like, just this incredible little drum pattern that drops every so often. And it's just, yeah, it's just one of those, like it almost feels like they had a first part and they had a second part and they had a third part. And they're like, well, why don't we just put the 3 of them together and call it a song? And it's like, yeah, okay. And connecting with a comment I made on the Embryonic album, one of the key lyrics on this, I think it's embryonic. So again, it almost feels like, yeah, they had the germ of a song, the germ of a song, and the germ of a song. And they're like, hey, let's put those together. These are the embryos, but now we're going to put them together and we got a full song. So it's a neat little journey on an album that's full of many, many neat journeys. And that album is going to, again, appear later on this list. Number 7, Moth in the Incubator. Number 6, Waiting for a Superman. This is off the Soft Bulletin. This is probably, while there are slow kind of acoustic tender numbers on this list, this is probably the simplest, most straightforward song maybe they've ever done. It's just got a very simple, straightforward, but dominant drum sort of beat that goes through the whole thing. There's not much more than kind of simple piano chords that kind of support the melody. And then Wayne is just like not doing much other than singing in this really human, really tender voice. And it's pretty much about how it's hard. Things are heavy, aren't they? Aren't we all just waiting for a Superman to come help us? It's just this very like, at one hand, and it's hopeful, but on the other hand, there's this resigned, like, life is rough, man. Like we're waiting for a Superman, but that Superman might not ever come. So you just kind of gotta resign yourself to like whatever your fate is. And they strike that balance better than almost any other band. But just the simplicity of this song, I think, adds to the absolute power of it. And I think if they had put anything else in the song, or maybe gone like the direction of The Gash, which is another song on this album, which has like layers of noise and like all this craziness and just like choir voices in the back and stuff, had they taken this song in any other direction, I think it would have robbed it of its utterly simplistic power. Yeah, man, it's a good song. And it's one of those, like, the first time you hear it, you might be like, okay, that's a cute song, whatever. I mean, it's not cute, but it's like there's not much to it, but it's one of those that just resonates and resonates. And it's just, I don't know, it packs a powerful punch for being as simple and direct as it is. Number 6, Waiting for a Superman. Number 5, 1/1000,000th of a millisecond on a Sunday Morning. This is off their second album. This is their Pink Floyd sort of slower space endeavor. It also has like a part in the middle where things get a little more aggressive and they drop like a nice psych riff in it. But yeah, it feels spacey. It feels like a very psychedelic LSD type song. It has a vibe where, like, you know, to know what it is to experience 1/10000000th of a millisecond on a Sunday morning almost feels like you are like heavily induced into psychedelics. The whole idea of time slowing down and possibly stopping, and that sort of just like being in the moment to the utmost degree. Like, this song, I think, simulates that experience in the most positive way ever. It's like 9+ minutes, just slowly goes about its business, kind of doesn't really go anywhere other than that little detour in the middle, but it's very much, yeah, it's just a spectacular, spectacular song. And again, Jesus Shooting Heroin on that first album is a clear, like, this is kind of who we are as a band, you know, really good psych riffs, lyrics not afraid to confront like hard issues. And then this is the other side of them on the second album, like kind of druggy, kind of trippy, very much in psych, but exploring a different venue, a kind of Pink Floyd-y, spacey, like echoey type vibe. Yeah, just ridiculous. Number 5, 1/1000,000th of a millisecond on a Sunday Morning. Number 4, also on Transmissions from a Satellite Heart, Slow Nerve Action. This is the last song on the album. Starts off with this devastating drum beat that comes in. The drums are mixed in the red. It is loud. It is dominant. It's just like, I mean, it comes in hard out of the previous song, which has this sort of looping pattern going at the end, and the drums come in and cut that off. And then once that drum beat is established, the guitar comes in with just another one of the best sounding guitar tones. It is heavy, it is loud, it is psych. I'm trying to think of the riff, but all I can think of is the riff to Halloween on Barbary Coast. But it comes in with this, almost reminds me, I think, of Mr. Bojangles is what it kind of reminds me of. Yeah. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na. And the first time the riff ends at that da-na-na-na-na-na, But as the song goes on and the riff gets repeated, Ronald Jones, the guitar player, starts scraping the strings. So it's like, da na 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 na, and that scraping just adds to like just the intensity of the song. And it's just such a minor little addition, such a nice, it's like salt, the perfect amount of seasoning right when you need it. And the lyrics are, again, these like day in the life lyrics. Like there's a woman that they know who's dating a guy, and the woman loves dogs. He's dating a guy who likes cats, and it's just kind of little, these weird little, are they deep? Are they not deep? Are they existential? Like, what is the point of them? But the way Wayne's voice, the sort of emotion that he carries, and just the devastating musical landscape, the powerful musical landscape that they create, just gives the lyrics more weight than I think maybe they should have. But I don't know. Incredible song. Number 4, Slow Nerve Action. Number 3, Off Clouds Taste Metallic. 2 minutes and 40 seconds of just perfect guitar, in your face loudness. When they did this song live back in like the mid 2000s and all, they would bring out like a strobe light, and Wayne had this like portable strobe light that he would hold up in front as he was singing the song, and you would just be like attacked with by this oral assault and visual assault at the same time. But the song, Lightning Strikes the Postman, I got your package, it was all a mess. Lightning strikes the postman in his chest. I hope that you remember the things you had to say. It's just a supernatural delay. And then the second verse is kind of the same thing. And then the third verse is he writes the person back. But then at the very end, he writes the person back, but lightning strikes the postman all the time. And then after like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, just if utter, just guitar noise and just like this full musical attack, everything cuts out except for the guitar, and Wayne's just like, and it's hard to read the writing through the flames, or in the flames. And it's perfect. It's such an amazing adrenaline rush. The drums, just this, oh, I mean, I'm not sure actually how the bass part goes, but I imagine as I'm sitting here thinking of the song that the entire time Ivan is just going burn, burn, just up and down, sliding up and down the fretboard, because it has this like rocking back and forth feel, but the entire time it's just this attack. I'm getting all like adrenalized and like pumped up just thinking about this song. Yeah, amazing. Number 3, Lightning Strikes the Postman. Number 2, The Spark That Bled off the Soft Bulletin. This is just sort of another sort of perfect little mini suite. Starts off with this absolutely amazing, I'm pretty sure it's a drum track. I don't think it's really played. Might be, but it's just this like this cymbal work with this nice little delicate, slow, kind of very chill atmosphere. Wayne talks about realizing that he's bleeding out of his head and he'd been hit by the softest bullet ever known. And then the music starts getting really, really funky, like doo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo, almost like a monkey jam, like a fish monkey jam that they would throw in. And then after they do that, like the lyrics, they go off into this other lyrical section and things get really weird and convoluted and the drums get all weird and all messed up. And it's just like, yeah, man, it's just such a phenomenal song. And then the lyrics, there's a point in the lyrics where he's like, I stepped up and I said, yeah, yeah, like trying to be positive and affirming. But then after that part, which has the weird musical part in it, the lines are like, but it didn't matter anyway, or it didn't make a difference, or it's just like all of it was for nothing. I run a poetry slam here in San Antonio. I've been literally doing it since last millennium, 1999. And this album, the one that The Spark That Bled is on, came out right about a month before that we started the slam. And I love this album, had been listening to it over and over again. And so I wrote this poem called I Step to the Mic and I Say Yes. I kind of stole the idea from them. But instead of it having this sort of like depressing aspect to it, I made it this more positive thing. And I got a chance to do it that year. They have poetry slams around the country. We have a national poetry slam. Like 52 teams from around, like 56 teams from around the country came. We competed in Rhode Island in like this huge like opera theater type thing. We made the final stage that year against, it was San Antonio versus 3 New York City teams. Took second place, lost by 0.1. But I got to do that poem on the huge stage, you know, in front of like 4,000 people. And it was like really beautiful. Like I step to the mic and I say yes, I think 4 times. So the first time I say it, you know, people are like, okay. The second time I say it, like half the audience was like, yes. And then the third time it was like, yes. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. The poem is called Skullfuck. Yeah. But you can Google it. It's on YouTube somewhere. Yeah. Shaggy. The 2000 National Poetry Slam. My beard is completely brown at that point. There is no white in it at all. It is quite a weird thing. I'm not going to put a link in the video in the comment section because I don't really want you to check it out, but it is out there. So anyways, yeah, it's not a very good poem. I've gotten much better over the years. It was more like the second poem I ever wrote, but it was good enough to take us to finals. So anyways, that's a detour that I don't need to talk about. But that's number 2, The Spark That Bled, just a ridiculous song on a ridiculous album. And number 1, my favorite song, off In a Priest-Driven Ambulance, 5-Stop Mother Superior Rain. Just another one of those slow, for lack of a better word, ballads. It doesn't really have a part in the middle where you get a heavy, heavy psych jam in it, but it does have beautiful verses, an amazing chorus. Might be about gun violence. The first line is, I was born. Wayne's performance on this is like just, I was born the day they shot JFK. And then the second verse starts off with, I was born the day they shot John Lennon's brain. The third verse starts off with, I was born the day they shot a hole in the Jesus egg, which is the name of the absolutely ridiculous, yeah, this is it. The ridiculous sort of, there is a 2 CD release of this, which has like that album plus a bunch of alternate takes of this album, and it's called The Day They Shot a Hole in the Jesus Egg. Yeah, the CD cracked. So, but there it is. I think that's a picture of somebody when they're on acid, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's another album. There's a picture of somebody's eyeball while tripping on one of their albums. I think it's on Transmissions or maybe on Oh My God. But anyways, yeah, this is just, it's a slow burning kind of ballad. The chorus is like, my hands are in the air the way they always are. You're fucked if you do. You're fucked if you don't. 5-star Mother Superior Rain. Again, I'm not sure that means anything, but it feels like all of it is a comment on something. And the performance, the music, it falls pretty much smack dab in the middle of the album. It's the closing track on side A. It is just absolutely a perfect song. It takes everything they did from like Jesus shooting heroin through the 1 millionth. It takes those slow burning songs and it just puts them into the perfect sort of Flaming Lips, slow psych rock with just every instrument just doing exactly what it should be doing. So yeah, my number 1 favorite Flaming Lips track. That will never, other than SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy, is 5-Stop Mother Superior Rain. And that's it, people. Those are my top 10 Flaming Lips songs. There they are right there. Let me know what yours are. Let me know what I messed up on. Let me know all those things that I did wrong or I missed out on. Because there's a lot of songs on this list that aren't on this list. I mean, there are a lot of songs that aren't on this list that should be on this list. I'm not going to say what they are. I'm not going to say what 11 is. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna live by this list and die by this list. So anyways, that's it, people. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Go check out this music if you haven't already. This band is amazing. Amazing. Love them. Yeah, that's it. Peace, y'all. Talk to you later. Thanks.